Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drux Milan Unboxing. This Saturday night, a fight happens that we here in the African continent have been looking forward for a very long time. It's a rematch from 2015, but this time it's for the WBC Cruiserweight Championship of the World. Champion from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ilunga Junior Makabu, will be defending his title against a mandatory contender from South Africa, Thabiso Mchunu. Now, the fight takes place in the United States, ironically. Would have loved to have it here in South Africa. I suppose the States is a more neutral venue for Thabiso Mchunu, but we are just glad that the fight is finally taking place. And for my friends in the States and in the UK, don't sleep on this fight, because it's a very, very good style matchup between the puncher, which is Makabu, and the boxer, who is Mchunu. Now, these guys had a long and winding road. In 2015, Thabiso Mchunu and Ilunga Makabu were both riding high. Thabiso Mchunu was a very good amateur boxer. He had an early loss where he got stopped by Zach Mwekasa, but then he went on a run, won a Super 6 a cruiserweight knockout tournament here in South Africa, and then he went overseas. So the hardcore American fans may know him a little bit. He upset Eddie Chambers' cruiserweight debut, who moved down from heavyweight. Outboxed Eddie Chambers, beat Garrett Wilson, and also outboxed a much younger Olandawayo Durodola, transplanted Nigerian who was based here in the States at that stage. He fought on main events cards, Thabiso Mchunu did. Then it all went pear-shaped in the initial encounter against Makabu. Mchunu was hitting Makabu at will for the first half of the fight. He was boxing very well, and then Makabu worked his way back into the fight and knocked out a tiring Thabiso Mchunu in the 10th round. Now, this is a rematch of that. So, from that fight on, Junior Makabu finally got his world title shot the next year against Tony Bellew. It was a fight that many favoured him to win, but Bellew, after going to the canvas himself, knocked Makabu out in the 3rd round. And Thabiso Mchunu got his title shot against Alexander Usyk. Couldn't get over the hill against Usyk, and he got stopped. No shame in that. Usyk is now one of the heavyweight champions, at least. And from then on, Thabiso Mchunu had a sort of an in-and-out career. He lost to Constantine Bernardo overseas, had a close loss to Tommy Oosthuizen, avenged that loss, and then he went on a winning streak, and he scored 2 big wins in Russia, one over former WBA and IBF champion Denis Lebedev, whom he outboxed. Lebedev admittedly has been in a lot of wars, and you could argue that he was sharp-born. But then after that, he returned to Russia, and he turned the trick again, this time outpointing Evgeny Tishchenko, a former Olympic gold medalist, handing him his first defeat. So he is worthy of his shot at Ilunga Makabu. Now, Makabu, after losing to Bellew, he's never lost again. He picked himself up, and he got to where he is by winning also 2 fights on the roads in Russia. You can look at them up on YouTube, a real slam bang affair. Stopped Dmitry Kudrashov, won on points against Alexei Papin, and then he won a vacant WBC title in his native DRC in a close, hard-fought decision over Polish fighter Mikhail Cieslak. He has also defended it once, stopping Olandawayo Durodola in 7 rounds, the same Durodola that Mchunu fought years earlier. Now, if we look at these guys, they are both southpaws. It's a battle of southpaws. Mchunu is a stalking kind of puncher. He's in the sweepstakes to fight Canelo Alvarez, should he get past Thabiso Mchunu. But he's a very dangerous puncher, but he's easy to hit. He stands straight up with his hands up, and you can hit him. It's not difficult to hit, but that's also the danger, because you can hit him, but like his trainer Damien Durant explained to me once, Junior Makabu has got very awkward angles. His defense is very straight up, but his offense is awkward. It's difficult to do because he's in a southpaw stance, and he really likes to crank it up with the left hand. He throws sort of a sweeping hook uppercut hybrids, almost like Razor Ruddock back in the day, but except it comes from his second hand, not his lead hand. And he does have a good jab. He can work the body, and he's a real warrior. Makabu is never in a bad fight. He's got a lot of heart. You can hurt him, you can knock him down, but for the most part, he will get you in the end. Now, Thabiso Mchunu is a very tricky, also southpaw, as I've mentioned, boxer. He's a short, stocky kind of guy. He's always at a reach disadvantage. But that's nothing new for him. It makes it work for him. You know, if you looked at the Tischenko fight, he has that power jab, and he kept out jabbing Tischenko, jabbing to the chest, jabbing to the head, and he outboxed the taller man. And in his first fight against Makabu, that worked. He was dominating that early part of the fight. And he even had Makabu wobbly. He even hit him with, I think it was a right hook, and Makabu sort of staggered backward. So he can hurt Makabu too. On the negative side, Mchunu has had stamina issues. Against Makabu in the first fight, he ran out of gas as Makabu worked the body and grinded him down. He runs out of gas. He's not a kind of guy who as of yet, has won a war of attrition. He's a bit of a front runner. He controls the fight from the get-go, or more or less controls the fight, and that way he wins. I have yet to see him be in trouble, be down on the cards by a significant margin, and come back to win the fight. That is not Mchunu. He doesn't thrive in a war-like environment like Makabu does, and he has been stopped before. So also not the greatest of chins, but in contrast to Makabu, Thabiso Mchunu is harder to hit. He's got a very sideways stance. He does that Floyd Mayweather shoulder roll, and it kind of works for him. He makes that work. Now, what is going to happen in this fight? Now, the general wisdom, if I look at the overseas pundits, what they are predicting, the solid majority of them are predicting Junior Makabu to repeat, to once again stop Thabiso Mchunu in the late rounds. And just going by stats and batting averages, that makes a lot of sense, because statistically, the guy who wins by stoppage the first time around wins quicker the second time around. But there are exceptions where fighters have reversed stoppage losses in the past. It happens. I can name so many. I'm just off the top of my head, I'm thinking now way back, Joe Lewis against Max Schmeling. But it can be done. And we have a resurgent Thabiso Mchunu. His form looks good. Now, if I look at Ilunga Makabu, one thing that worries me about Junior Makabu, as we call him here in South Africa, is he's easy to hit. He takes a lot of punishment. He keeps ending up in wars. Against Kudrashov, it was a wall. Against Papin, it was a ding-dong wall. Took a lot of punishment. Against Chislak, was maybe not as draining, but it was also a very tough fight. Then against Duradola, a voluntary defense. Now, Duradola has seen better days. He's a big, strong guy, but he's seen better days, and even he managed to sort of wobble Junior there for a bit before getting stopped. So there's a vulnerability to me about Junior Makabu. He keeps looking to me like a fighter who's on the verge of becoming unstuck for moments, and then he gets it together and he nails his opponent and he gets the job done. He's very fan-friendly, I'll say that for him. But you can go to the well, and you can go to the well, and at a certain point that well is going to be empty. Is a well going to run empty against Thabiso Mchunu? Now, Mchunu has also been through the grinder. He's also had tough fights. But I think Makabu has slightly more miles on the clock. Now, I can see Makabu knocking out Mchunu again. There are some that say, like Pierre Berger said there on Facebook, Thabiso must start early and smoke Makabu. He can do that because Makabu is easy to hit. He has been able to hurt him the last time out, but he can also gas out. If he really hurts him, go after him. But you see, that's the danger with Junior Makabu. It's a little bit like Julian Jackson, that big punching junior middleweight back in the day. He's easy to hit. He stands there, he's in front of you. You hit him easily, you go for a stoppage, and then before you know it, you're looking up at the lights. So I would say Thabiso Mchunu needs to box a very disciplined, very studied fight according to a game plan, like he did against Tischenko, although he's got a much more dangerous opponent in front of him now. He's got to use his jab and simply box Ilunga Makabu. And another mistake that he mustn't make that he did last time out, he was hitting Makabu easily and he stayed in a pocket, jab, 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 hook, left hand. He stayed in the pocket just a bit too long. Now, Makabu, his power hand, more often than not, comes here from his second hand in his southpaw stance from the left hand, that sweeping punch, and then he finishes you with a left hook here from that side. So I think Mchunu would be well served to box, but keep moving away from the left hand of Ilunga Makabu. He's got to be aware of that while he's boxing Makabu. If he gets opportunity and he really hurts Makabu, maybe briefly go for it. But I think it's a very risky strategy to go for broke. It might pay off, but it's really throwing the dice. Now, Junior Makabu, when you've beaten a guy on stoppage, what you got to do, I think, mentally, you've got to bring him back to that nightmare. You must wake up a ghost inside of his head. And what Junior Makabu mustn't do is do what he did last time and let Thabiso get ahead on points and start winning rounds, because Mchunu thrives on momentum. And if he does that, he has to dig himself out of a hole. And I suspect Mchunu had a better camp this time. He was away from home. He was there in Mexico with Sean Smith, his trainer. I think the stamina issue will maybe not be as prevalent as the first time around. You cannot fix a chin, but you can fix stamina issues, I believe. And I think he'll be dialed in for this, and the stamina issues will not be as prevalent. So that's why I think Junior needs to get on top of him from the beginning, work that body and hurt him with something and stop him. He's got to go for the stoppage. He's got to make Mchunu draw back into a shell. You must not let him get confident. Work the body of Mchunu and jump on him. Try and avoid the slow start that he's known for. And I think then he can win this fight by stoppage, or even score a knockdown or two, enough to get over on the cards by decision. And Mchunu, as I've said, box a disciplined fight. Keep moving away from that left, that southpaw left of Ilunga Makabu. Now, if I look at what the South Africans are saying, they sort of almost split down the middle. There's quite a bit more there in South Africa that's picking Thabiso and Mchunu to win this fight. Now, in the end, I've got to make a prediction. What do I think is going to happen? I think, firstly, it's a great fight. I know both trainers well. I know Damien Durant, I know Sean Smith. Junior Makabu, I think the boxing community in South Africa, by and large, have adopted him as one of our own. So it's almost like a local fight for us, taking place in the United States, sadly for us. So it's one of those fights where you really like both guys. I'm a fan of both. But I have to stick my neck out here. And sometimes I've got egg on it and sometimes I don't. And I've got a suspicion that the momentum is a little bit better behind Thabiso and Mchunu. There's not so much wear and tear on him. Makabu looks vulnerable to me. Mchunu is going to have a perfect game plan. He's going to have to stick to it. His training has got to be spot on, and he has got to be the fittest he's ever been for his career. But I think he knows it's last chance saloon, and I think he will be. So I think Thabiso Mchunu is going to box a very strategic, disciplined game plan, like he did there against Evgeny Tishchenko. And I think Junior Makabu is going to resemble the first fight for a while. He's going to pull ahead at points, and then Junior is going to come on and try and do the stoppage like last time. But I think this time Mchunu is going to survive it, and he's going to win a close, perhaps a split decision on the cards there, and become the new champion. So I'm going for Thabiso Mchunu to get the nod there on Saturday night and become the new champion. But we've got the danger man, Ilunga Makabu, and let's hope, irrespective of who wins, that the winner can get that big payday against Canelo. I suspect if that winner is Mchunu, stylistically Canelo won't want to fight him. But, you know, whatever, if Makabu wins, good luck to him. I hope he gets that big payday. And I'm almost sure we're going to have a really good clash of styles there, so don't sleep on this fight. Tune into it. That's how I read it. If you guys like this channel, if you like my analysis, please give it a thumbs up and please give it a subscribe so we can get those YouTube numbers up. I would greatly appreciate it. And until we see each other again, remember to keep those hands up.